Well, absolutely. There's always been a double standard for that as well. And I think the focus has always been, particularly in a lot of arenas, is because men marry women and women in turn becomes their responsibility. In the Old Testament, that was never an issue because if a man wanted a woman, all he had to do was just marry her. You know, he can have as many wives as he possibly could have. So that's wasn't a big issue. In our culture today, when you only have one woman, yeah, that does become a thing. So I think it's a cultural double standard. It is not a biblical one because the same rules for men apply to women as well. So it's a cultural thing, and I agree with that.
What are your thoughts about black people meet versus someone inboxing you on Facebook or Instagram and asking you out?
Well, I don't think you can really get to know nobody online. People can portray themselves to be anything that they want to portray themselves to be. The only thing about dating and building relationships, it takes time. It takes being with an individual. I don't think you really get to know an individual until you can be with them. The other thing, online dating becomes very dangerous is because of the mere fact is that people can paint a world that don't even exist. So, you know, in order for me to really know you, I got to not only spend time with you personally, but I also got to spend time in your world, what constitutes really your world. And so online dating is good for interests, but building relationships online is a very dangerous thing.
Why do men have problems with independent women or women who earn more money than them?
Well, I think first of all, a woman was created by man to be the help. And so part of a man's nature, if he's a real man, you know, he likes to be able to meet a need in a woman. When women become so independent that men don't feel like you need them, then that takes the qualifications of them being in your life away. Remember, when God created the woman, he took the woman out of the man so that she could have something that he had, but he no longer have. That was designed to make sure that the man would see a need for her. So when women become so independent and a man don't see a need for him to be in your life, then he begins to detach from you. Because men love someone, they like to be needed.
Okay. Is it okay to move forward if you know you aren't where you want to be in life? How do you say this to someone who's trying to pursue you?
Okay. Well, I think first of all, you have to determine by your feelings what God is doing in your heart as to what kind of relationship this is. Somebody can be pursuing you, and in your heart, it's only a friendship. In your heart, it's only someone that you see in a non-romantic or a non-romantic interest. Remember, in order for a relationship to work, it has to be mutual anticipation. That means both of you have to want the same thing. And if you don't want the same thing, it is unfair to have someone who anticipates a relationship with you that you know in your heart that you don't really want to give to them. So at that point, you need to let the person know. Of course it is. You were never designed to have sex with yourself. You know, have to be between a male and a female in marriage because sex is supposed to be an illustration of a marital commitment and a marital bond. You can't marry yourself. You know, when you start masturbating, number one, masturbating is always focused on fornication. Fornication is illegal sex. So people who normally masturbate, it won't be long before they do something else other than that.
Where focus be?
Well, I think number one, you have to determine whether or not that is your calling to not to be married. To be single is a gift. Some people don't have that kind of gift. If you got a sex drive, then singleness is not your gift. You know, so you got to remain celibate if you're going to be single. So if you're a single person, if you decide that you want to be celibate, that God has given to you, then there's no need for you to have a man in your life, and then you don't need to have a woman in your life. So So I think you have to determine whether or not God has gifted you to become single. Because most of the time, if you're not single, not want to get married, and you're single and you have a sex drive, you're gonna commit fornication. That's just natural. It's just going to happen.
Why is this a positive thing?
Being single,
Yes.
I think being single is a positive thing. Is because number one, when you're single, your focus will only be on the Lord. I mean, God can get more of you, more of your time, more of your energy, more of everything with you. When you're married, you have a distraction. And distraction is that when you're married, you have a ministry, number one, to your spouse. Then, if you're available for any external ministry, you're able to do that. You know, the single life, number one, we're born single. Number two, majority of the people in the Bible were single. There were more single people in the Bible than married people, particularly those who wrote the scriptures. Um, Three, when you die, you're going to be single because marriage covenant ends at death. Four, you're going to get to heaven and everybody's going to be single. So the single life, if you can be single on earth with the Lord, you only practice in the way we're going to live with the Lord in heaven. If I'm attracted to you, that attraction is sexual. It's normal attraction of a male to a female is a sexual attraction. When you throw in the component of love in there, then that kicks it to a whole nother level. And it's difficult for people to be in love and not want to make love. That's very, very difficult. So it has to be a very particular case, or unless the love I have for you is not a romantic love. It could be a love I have for you as a sister, or love I have for you as a church member, or something of that nature. But if it's just a romantic love, and it's going to be very difficult for people to feel that way about each other and not want to make love. Now, here's another thing about it. If I'm romantically involved with someone and we don't have to run from sexual things, then how are we going to be married? Because once we get married, we have that same mentality about being married when we can be sexual and we won't. So I think if I was a single person and we want to practice celibacy, it ought to be something that's difficult for us, and we need to be putting safeguards, running, not creating environments, because we know if we give ourselves the opportunity, what will happen based upon how we feel about it. So I think you need to be realistic with
And in the past, because he was a wonderful lover, I fear that I will compare. Is this something that people do after marriage? How do I deal with this?
that. First of all, you ask God to bring the right person in your life. That's number one, because God knows your need. He knows the person that satisfies your needs. Most people don't understand sexuality is not about performance. That's lust. Sexuality is about expressing my heart for you. So you find a person with the right heart, your bodies would definitely correspond with that. You know, and that comparison thing would go out with women. If you take sexuality solely from a fleshly standpoint, nobody would be able to satisfy you. So I think what you got to do is give that to God and let God make that determination. Another thing you have to understand about sexuality, most people don't understand. Your body is not made for you; it's made for the other person. So if I'm a sexual person, then my whole mindset is to make sure that my partner is satisfied, and vice versa. And with that kind of unselfishness in the relationship, the details of that will work itself.
When I look at myself, I make sure that I see myself as sexy yet classy, and I want single guys to see this as well.
It's nothing wrong with a woman looking good, and I think a woman should look good. She should dress well. It is sinful for a woman to be trampy. And what I mean by tramping, do you really want a man who just want to have sex with you? You know, oh come on, you want more than that for yourself, I'm sure. The Bible, there are two ways that a woman can dress inappropriately, and this is based upon her mindset. She should never dress to incite envy in other women, nor should she ever dress to incite lust in men. That is not what a woman wants to do. You want a man to be attracted to you because of the way you look, but you want a man to want to stay with you because of who you are. And so therefore, when you dress sexy, then you attract men who just want sex. But if you dress and be you, then you attract men who want to know you. Which are the two people you really want?
If I have begun a sexual relationship with someone and I want to stop, what is the best way to do this? I really enjoy them outside of this activity. However, I know I need to abstain. I've tried to cut them off before, but it's not working. I always end up talking back to them.
I think it has to be something you both mutually agree upon. You know, it was good. Let me tell you something. When I was in college and I was dating this girl, and I was sexually attracted to this girl, and really, I mean, it was almost apt to the act of us having sex. And then she said to me, she says, I'm going to do this because I love you and I know that you want me to do this. But she said to me, but I promised God and I promised my father that I will wait until I get married. And I want you to know, can I trust you to help me keep my promise to God and my promise to my father? And that was a whole different type thing that she took me to. And we wound up having a celibate relationship. It was one of the best relationships that I had ever had because it was about her. It wasn't about that. It was about joy being with her. And I think when we can build, that's what God wants to take the sexual part out, is because He wants the persons to be in love with each other and not illustrate something that you're really not really there. And you're in lust, but you're not in love.
Why do people at church that are dating hide it?
Well, one of the things that the church basically only sees one relationship, and the relationship in church is husband and wife. You know, and preferably if I was a single person, who I'm dating is private. Because here's the problem that can happen. What if the dating stops? The next thing you know, you got a reputation of really, use this expression, being a church hole. Because every time they see you with a different woman, you're different this, you're different that. So I would prefer to keep my relationship private because that's why it's called a private life. And then when I found that person that I can covet myself to, then make known to the church that I am officially engaged. And that way they can only see me with that one person.
How should a man approach a woman he's interested in? What's a good date for Christian singles?
I think approach is different for different people. Some people use a direct approach. Some people show their interest through general conversations. Sometimes interest can be based upon something you're doing together. You can be thrown together into a situation, maybe working on a committee together and find out there's an interest in each other. So I think there's not a generic answer to that. It's really not. I was never the kind of guy when dating a woman. I've never been the kind of guy that want to walk up to a woman and what's your sign or be able to ask a woman out just like that. My relationship normally grew out of friendships, and we just talked and we both mutually decided it's time for us to date or go out. So I think it's different for different people, different situations. There is no generic answer to that.
I know singles workshop and you talked about specifically about the date.
Right.
So can you tell us about that date again?
Well, I think that once, particularly you're dealing with grown people when you're dating someone, particularly if you live alone, particularly that type of situation, first date's ought to be Dutch. They ought to be Dutch. They ought to never be at your house. They never let nobody come to your house. Meet them. Get your car and meet them. You can decide on a mutual date where you can afford to go to. It don't even have to be a paying date. It could be go to the park or go to someplace public. And you get to talk with each other. And that way, if things don't work out, you can just get in your car and leave. And that first date, that's when you determine, is there an interest? Is there a reason to move on? Are you both looking for the same things? You talk about your values. You talk about this general conversation Because normally after that first date, you'll know whether or not you want another date with that person or not. So I would say first date should be Dutch. First date should be when you drive your own cars, and then you can determine where the relationship goes from
Didn't give him permission to. He kept saying that he really liked me, but he never moves past that point. He approached me on Facebook via my inbox. I never responded after the last message because I didn't understand what he meant by I didn't give him permission to move forward.
Well, then you ask him what he meant. It's called communication. You ask him, I mean, what do you mean by that? Remember, when you're dating someone who bring in a history that you don't even know anything about. So now the only way I can know how to communicate with you is by asking questions and making sure I get clarity and not using it to my own judgment about what that would really mean. In that case, I would have asked him, what do you mean that you needed permission? Maybe he didn't feel that you had a real interest. Or maybe he wasn't picking up that, men don't like rejection. They don't like it. They don't like rejection. They don't want to take that risk. Or he's been hurt before where he moved too fast. And so now he wants to make sure that do I have the permission to do that? Is it an interest on your part that I do that? Or are you interested in dating me? Permission means do I have the permission to ask you? Because I want to know whether or not what I'm feeling about you, whether or not you're feeling the same way. So I need you to give me some clarity on how you're feeling right
Can we have in-house dinner or movie dates?
now. I
guess
would not
that's it.
suggest in-house dinners. No, I think if you want to stay celibate, the way you stay celibate is you got to not give yourself the opportunity to do things that are intimate. That's because oftentimes privacy automatically gives invitation to intimacy. If I say, "Hey, why don't we come over to my place?" and you say, "Sure," then automatically you have given me the indication that you are open to some form of intimacy. So you got to make sure you're communicating with each other very, very privately. If celibacy is your goal, the only cure for fornication is run. You have to make sure that you don't give yourself up.
If I'm dating someone and we love each other, we have sex, get married, and are still happy, now because we had sex before getting married, will God still bless this relationship?
Of course you will. Of course you will. Because it's not an unforgivable sin. Don't make it an unforgivable sin. God would definitely forgive it. That's number one. Number two, it's the only correction to fornication. The only correction that the Bible gives us to fornication is marriage. So if you marry the person you've been fornicating with, you've atoned for that. You atone for that by marrying her. Let me say this again. When you get a legal marriage, you are legitimizing a moral marriage that you already committed through fornication because you married the person. In the Bible, when a single person got with another single person and they were not married, the Bible ordered them to marry. That ended the situation. But once you marry them, it's done. Ask the Lord to forgive the fornication, move on with the marriage.
I have a fear of dating men who are very active in their church because I don't want to leave this one. What can I do to change this?
I didn't get that. You have a fear of dating men in the church?
She said, I have a fear of dating men who are very active in their church because I don't want to leave. I guess dating someone in another church
Oh, yeah.
and not.
She don't want the man to leave his church.
She don't want to leave her church.
Oh, she don't want to leave her church.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, spirituality has to be definitely a concern when you're considering anyone. I would not date nobody that's a Muslim. I mean, I wouldn't date nobody. If I was dating someone, yeah, I'd be concerned. I'd be concerned. If I'm in a teaching ministry and I'm getting taught, consideration for God always take precedent over consideration for yourself. Then ask God to make that choice. Ask God to make that decision. You never know, because oftentimes just because a person is active in their church, you never know how God would make the decision in their heart that once they find out the church you in, they may very well decide, hey, I'm coming over here. If you're that strong about it, I think it's something you need to talk about with each other first, about your religious conviction, and then make sure that you can be on the same page.
Last one. I have so much that I need to improve about myself and accomplish in life. Am I being unrealistic by trying to wait until I'm where I want to be in life first before dating?
Oh, no, it's not. No, that's an individual call. That's an individual call. And it could be several things that would constitute that. You said, for instance, I know some single people right now who are single and they have children, and their children of a certain age, and they've decided before they start actively dating, they want to make sure their children are set. They don't want to. They don't want to do the step parenting thing. They don't want to get involved in that. Or maybe there are some men, a woman I'm counseling now, and she's telling me the man don't want to marry her because her grown adult children still live there. And she going to have to clean that up because the man don't want to be brought into a situation like that. You can meet the right person, but it can be the wrong situation, and that situation needs to be cleaned up before that person. So no, there's nothing wrong with that thinking.
And finally, just any message that you want to give to singles.
Well, just do what singles are supposed to do. Save individuals, nurturing godly lives every day. That's what singles. That's an acronym for singles, and I think it's a powerful acronym. You know, don't do like many of us have done. We went out and went after our lives instead of finding the life that God has for us. There's somewhere along the line that we seem to trust God with everything but ourselves. God said, when are you going to trust me with you? When are you going to trust that I know what's best for you? I know who's best for you. I know when it needs to happen. I'm not unintelligent. So with all the information I got about you, why are you trusting you with you? Or why are you trusting you with anybody else but me? I think that's the case of spirituality that we're trying to get our singles to do. And that's my commitment. And that's why I'm always here when my singles need me. And we're going to continue to push for single living because we want to make sure that the next generation is much better than the past.
And one more thing, can you just say, hey, this is Pastor William B. Blunt from Radio Zion here to give you just something to say.
Okay, do a commercial.
Yes, just
okay. Well, hello, my name is Pastor William B. Blunt. I'm the pastor of the Greater Zion Missionary Baptist Church right here in the beautiful city of Augusta, Georgia. And I am very proud to be here and working along with the singles ministries of our church to be able to answer your questions as they come across. We're going to take the time and make sure we give you biblical answers. Answers that you feel like you need more, hey, just contact us either by phone or email, or we'll make sure that you get the answers that you need. So I'm glad to be here, and thank you for your questions, and I promise you we'll give it our best effort.